any worry going on in the WNBA executive offices, if there is no worry, oh, people aren't going to turn off, oh, people are still going to show up, if that was the thought that they were having up there in WNBA La La Land, well, now might be the time to hit the panic button. 48 hours after news hits that Caitlin Clark is injured and she'll be missing 2 weeks, the market has responded and the market has told the WNBA.
Oh, that's about to happen. The WNBA teams that move their games, this is about to be catastrophic.
The greatest fear for the WNBA has just arrived. The consequences of Caitlin Clark's quad injury are already disastrous. Teams who relocated their games to larger venues in anticipation of her arrival will soon have to deal with thousands of empty seats. Some fans are just boycotting the entire league while others are yanking their tickets and canceling their plans. What are your thoughts? Is it too much loyalty for supporters to boycott the WNBA while Clark is hurt?
Her, but we don't want this. What am I talking about? Indiana Fever ticket prices to games over the next 2 weeks have dropped 42% since Caitlin Clark's injury announcement, an average ticket price of $137.
The WNBA's timing couldn't be worse. To be honest, they caused this for themselves. Due to a quad issue, Caitlin Clark, the player who single-handedly preserved their television ratings and putts in seats, is currently sidelined. And the league, which has been weakening her influence for months, will soon discover what life is like without their greatest attraction.
I don't know when it happened. I know afterwards, we got a message that she had something going on with her leg, and we were getting an MRI, and then we got the reimbursement.
Was it after the Liberty game on Saturday?
Is that her last game?
Yeah.
Yes.
Steph, you had a chance to try out a lot of...
Let's examine what is truly taking place in this situation. Clark will be reevaluated in 2 weeks, according to Indiana Fever coach Stephanie White. But anyone who has experienced quad injuries understands that this schedule is, at best, optimistic. My money is on the longer end. So, we're looking at 2 to 6 weeks. This is not a little adjustment. This is a real injury that needs time to heal. This is where things start to get interesting, though. A number of teams and the WNBA made large financial commitments in anticipation of Clark's arrival. The Washington Mystics relocated their matchup with Indiana to a Baltimore facility with 15,000 seats. The game was moved to the United Center by the Chicago Sky. The American Airlines Center, where the Mavericks play, was the new location for Dallas game. These are not minor choices. We Snorts are discussing marketing campaigns, extra staffing, security, and venue rental fees that are all based on the star power of a single player.
Yeah, I don't know how things work in pretend basketball. I don't know the history of transparency when it comes to timelines for injury returns in the WNBA. But I do know in the NBA, teams are rarely transparent with injuries. When the Pelicans say Zion Williamson will be reevaluated in 2 weeks,
these same teams are now facing what may be their most unsightly attendance numbers in a long time. Furthermore, the fans' intentions aren't subtle. People are proclaiming on social media that they would sell their tickets, cancel their plans, or just boycott games until Clark returns. One fan wrote that they were selling their Fever Mystics tickets because they didn't want to go from Washington, D.C. to Baltimore in the absence of Clark's performance. Another claimed that in order to prevent the league from receiving their live viewership figures, they would only watch Fever games on delay. These are not one-off occurrences. This is a planned reaction from supporters who believe their favorite player has been disrespected by the league. And let's be open about the true cause of this rage. It goes beyond Clark's injuries. It concerns how the WNBA has treated her during her whole league career. There has been an odd conflict between the league's desire to capitalize on her popularity and lessen her influence since day one. Players and journalists were always discussing how the spotlight should be distributed and how other players should also be acknowledged. The issue with such strategy is that you can't have it both ways. You can't base your marketing plan on someone and then be shocked when their absence leaves a huge gap. When Clark played, the WNBA saw previously unheard of television ratings. Suddenly, over 1 million people were watching games that typically attracted 200,000. Venues with 20,000 seats were sold out by arenas that had trouble selling 5,000 tickets. Music, however, the league frequently appeared uneasy with Clark's control of the narrative rather than accepting this fact. Instead of admitting that one player was responsible for the majority of the league's growth, there was a persistent effort to make everything about it. They will soon learn the hard truth about what their attendance and television ratings would be like without her. Concerning questions are also raised by the damage itself. Many folks are asking if Clark was rushed back too soon after dealing with quad problems during the preseason. Protecting your most valuable asset should have been your first priority in a league where the season is already shortened and physical play has been harsh. Rather, we are now facing a scenario in which the most lucrative player may be sidelined for a considerable portion of the season. From a business standpoint, this is a recipe for disaster. At last, the WNBA was gaining momentum. Deals for television were getting better. The mainstream media was genuinely paying attention and sponsorship interest was at an all-time high. Clark's wide appeal and capacity to attract casual viewers who might not otherwise watch women's basketball served as the foundation for all of that. There are no strong allegiances to other players or teams among those casual followers. For the only reason that it's fantastic basketball, they won't watch Washington play Chicago. One particular player sparked their interest in the WNBA, and without that person, it vanishes. This is not an insult to other gifted players in the league. It's just the way star power functions in professional sports. It will be especially harsh when it comes to attendance. You're taking a big risk by moving a game from a 7,000-seat arena to a 20,000-seat facility in the hopes that the increased demand would make the move worthwhile. These teams did not take these actions with the intention of breaking even. They anticipated high ticket prices and sellouts. They are currently considering the prospect of performing in front of partially empty arenas. The optics alone will be disastrous given all the extra expenses associated with the venue changes. The league's true drawing power, in the absence of Clark, is made abundantly evident by television cameras showing thousands of vacant seats in arenas that were meant to be full. Sponsors and TV executives take notice of this type of picture, and it may influence future agreements and collaborations. The league is even more irritated by this because it is entirely self-inflicted. The WNBA has a fantastic chance to capitalize on Clark's success, while simultaneously boosting other players. Rather, they frequently appeared to view her accomplishment as a hindrance rather than a benefit. There was an odd unwillingness to accept everything she had to offer. The anticipated outcome of that strategy is the current fan response.
Don't be
shocked if someone chooses to focus on someone else after you've spent months convincing them that their favorite player isn't all that special. The WNBA is going to have to learn the hard way that loyalty is reciprocated when a player is injured. Some would contend that it is excessive to boycott games while Clark is hurt. They'll argue that supporters should still cheer on the league and other players, but that completely misses the mark. These fans did not go on to support the WNBA. They happened to watch the WNBA and became fans of Caitlin Clark. There's an important distinction there. The league had an opportunity to win over those Clark-specific fans to the WNBA as a
whole.
However, that calls for genuinely attempting to bring about that conversion. Rather, it seemed to be assumed that once people began to watch, they would inevitably become fans of everything else as well. Particularly when it comes to casual sports viewers, that is not how fandom operates. There are more financial ramifications than merely ticket sales and TV ratings. Sales of merchandise will probably suffer. When your biggest draw isn't participating, sponsorship activation becomes more challenging.
Without
Clark's plots to follow, media attention will inevitably decline. Every facet of the league's business strategy is impacted by the rippling effects. Here's the worst part. This could have been prevented. This whole situation may have been avoided with proper load management, improved injury prevention protocols, and perhaps not hurrying a player back from a prior quad problem. However, judgments that put short-term profit ahead of long-term player health may have resulted from a pressure to take advantage of Clark's popularity. The fact that this is taking place at a critical juncture in the league's development makes the timing especially cruel. The WNBA was at last becoming popular, but maintaining that momentum calls for consistency. If your biggest star is absent for extended periods of time, you cannot increase casual audience. It's not assured that those viewers will return. They will just find something else to watch. It will be interesting to see how the league handles this circumstance. Do they accept the truth about Clark's influence on their company, or do they maintain the myth that no single player is essential to the WNBA's success? It will be challenging to sustain that argument given the attendance and television figures over the coming weeks. Ironically, the WNBA spent a lot of time attempting to demonstrate that Clark was not necessary for their success. They will soon have the opportunity to demonstrate their ability to sketch without her, which is precisely what they want. The issue is that all preliminary signs point to a poor outcome for them in this endeavor. There is more to the boycott movement than just Clark's injuries. Fans believe that the league has treated the athlete who brought them into the fold disrespectfully. We're currently witnessing a perfect storm when you combine that underlying anger with the fact that many people just watch for one particular player. Teams that place large bets on Clark's ability to draw will soon have to deal with the fallout from that risk. Her presence was assumed by the rearranged games, higher marketing expenditures, and higher expectations. Without her, they turn into costly lessons on the dangers of focusing your entire strategy on a single player, particularly if you haven't done enough to develop backup plans. A crash course in star economics is on the horizon for the WNBA. Without their largest attraction, they will see exactly what their media coverage, attendance numbers, and television ratings look like. Furthermore, those figures won't be favorable based on the fan response we've already seen. The tension that has existed in women's basketball since Clark joined the league is aptly captured by this circumstance. The injury will provide the most concrete resolution to the ongoing debate between individual star power and group growth. The metrics don't lie, and they're going to reveal a very clear picture of the people that genuinely generate interest in the WNBA. A hard lesson about biting the hand that feeds you is about to be imparted to the WNBA. A clear message about who matters most to their bottom line will be conveyed by those empty stadia and poor ratings. How do you feel about the entire situation? Please share your thoughts in the comment section. Subscribe and enable all notifications so you don't miss anything. We'll see you in the next one after you click the video on the screen.